Welcome to Pound for Pound ATL, arguably the best place to get facts and opinions on your Atlanta Falcons. And absolutely the best place to get your opinions in. The conversation starts now.
What's going on, football fans? It's your boys back live again with another Pound for Pound ATL Live. All-season edition, draft season edition, Super Bowl edition, Senior Bowl, whatever edition you want to label it as. It's the off season for us, right? And so far, there's been some interesting things going on. You got somewhat reports swirling around that players might not be happy here and want to be traded. You got social media videos swirling around of nameplates being removed before even retired players' nameplates have been removed. So we got all kind of stuff going on. We got QB coaches getting interviewed for offensive coordinator jobs. Man, it don't just fun just don't ever stop, does it, Toby?
Man, I tell you, it don't. You continue to see a little shuffling around on Arthur Smith's coaching staff. You already had Kitchens who left off to, take over as an offensive coordinator job. Mm-hmm. And now you're hearing about Charles London possibly taking over offensive coordinator job under the new McDaniels that just got hired by the Dolphins as their head coach. So that'll be interesting to see if the QB coaching position will now be vacated. A position open.
Yeah, because if that's the case, that'd be the fourth or fifth QB coach in the last few years. If it is in fact Ryan going into the season, which all that still remains up in the air. Nobody is, necessarily committed to anybody, or even though for the most part we got to feel like Ryan's going to be back, at least at this point. I don't really see them being able to offload him or trade him for a respectable compensation. But speaking of trades, early on in the about a week or so before the Senior Bowl, you had Calvin Ridley liking Instagram posts about going to the Dolphins. And then you had while we were down at the Senior Bowl, you had a video surface of, like I said, his nameplate already been removed out at Mercedes-Benz. Should we really look into that as pretty much foregone conclusion that he's gone?
If it was any indication with him being on the sidelines at the Alabama SEC championship game, I pretty much thought then that he was indicating that he was gone from the Atlanta Falcons, that we were the team he needed a piece from. Now, don't get me wrong. I do not take, mental health lightly, no. But if the Falcons were part of his needing a break mental health situation, then it's quite obvious that he needs to be gone from the Atlanta Falcons.
Yeah, if there was something here, whether it's this, the expectations of trying to fill Julio Jones' shoes or the new regime coming in, whatever, if the Atlanta Falcons are part of that equation of his mental health, then yeah, he definitely needs to relocate and be able to start fresh. And I won't necessarily hold any ill will towards him, for that. Obviously, at the end of the day, all we really want is the best, for these players, because they're all, we're all created in God's image. So there's no ill will, towards a player like that, who wants to start over somewhere else, right? Now, another name that has surfaced this week, and now where it surfaced from isn't necessarily the most reliable of places, but the reason why we bring it up is because if y'all remember last year when we talked to the gentleman who runs Spotrac, like this was a name he brought up, as one of the few movable contracts that the Falcons have. And I'm speaking about Grady Jarrett. And so with him being one of the more movable contracts, and there were times last year that in his interview processes, after games or whatever, that he didn't seem to be necessarily his jovial self that we have seen in the past. Now, he hadn't always been, Cordell Patterson cheesing type smiling.
Yeah.
But he's always been, at least what I've seen, has been more on the serious side. But even then, he almost didn't seem like at times that he even wanted to talk to the media last year. Now, it could be the simple fact of losing, weighing heavy on him. He hasn't really been part of a winning team since 2016, really.
Mm-hmm.
So it could just be like, man, here we go again, new leadership, same results, kind of deal. And it could have been that, or it could have been a simple fact that, he didn't feel like he's being used in the right way. Because, outside of his rookie year, this was the worst, statistical year I think Grady Jarrett's had in a Falcons uniform. As far as sacks and QB hits and what we consider to be defensive tackle production, it was down quite a bit.
Yeah.
So, that could be adding to it. But, what's your thoughts and opinions on trading Grady?
I'm going to say this, and y'all probably would think this mean, but I don't care. Because simple fact of the matter is we're losing with him.
Right.
And we're not winning with him. We're not winning with him or Calvary right now. And I'm under the mindset, I know the Falcons were trying not to go into a so-called rebuild or whatever, but I felt they should have blown it up last year, and they didn't blow it up, trying to give some kind of hope to the fan base, only to watch them. Yeah, they won 7 games. Yeah, that's very impressive with the roster that we have, but it's not 9 games. It's not 10 games. It's not 12 games for that matter.
Right.
They have a long ways to go. And this year they got a tough schedule that they're going to, now the pressure's on them. They have to win more than 7 games.
Right. Exactly. And, especially with the NFC South setting up the way it is.
Yeah.
With Tampa Tom taking it off into the sunset.
Yeah.
And Sean Payton, kicking rocks down there in New Orleans. They finally named their new head coach in Dennis Allen. So you have to imagine that their defense isn't going to drop off much. So does New Orleans then transfer into a defensive focused team that they haven't been in 15 years, 15, 16 years, whatever, and they're also dealing with, you think we got cap problems. They have some definitely insane cap issues.
Yeah.
Over there down in New Orleans. So, you would think right now is a prime opportunity to seize the NFC South in a chokehold, and we don't seem like we're ready to do that.
And see, that's just the thing. I mean, you look at these teams with Tampa, they're finally breaking up that Super Bowl team. Even Gronk is retiring. He's not interested in coming back, and I don't blame him. Tom Brady's gone. That team is breaking up down there. Where else is he going to go, and who else is even going to sign him?
Right.
Right now, because injuries have been falling upon Gronk.
Yep.
Even with him having the last couple of good seasons that he's had with Tampa Bay, he's had to fight through some injuries, and I don't know another team that's going to be willing to take that opportunity or chance to sign him, or if another Super Bowl run team is going to even take that chance at bringing older Gronk in there.
I think it would have to be a team that is on the cusp, is more than 99% there kind of thing to even want to take a swing on, on Gronk, right?
Yeah.
So, that's an interesting take there. And so, with that being said, it seems like, you step back and kind of shake your head and go, of course, the time the NFC South like goes back to ruins, like we can't capitalize, or we probably won't be able to capitalize. I'm not gonna say we can't capitalize, because stranger things have happened. Like you can catch lightning in a bottle in a way that the Bengals are doing right now. Generally, when you get your quarterback hit the way they've gotten him hit, you don't go that far. But he's still young and invulnerable and can shake that kind of stuff off and keep it moving, so to speak. And they've taken that Jamar Chase connection all the way to L.A. for a chance at a ring. So unless the team does something like truly drastic, I don't really see us being able to compete. Even if we do win the NFC South at this moment, like I feel like we would get bounced in the first round.
Yeah. I mean, it's an unfortunate situation where the South is basically going to, HE double hockey sticks and a handbasket, but we're not ready to rise up out of the ashes, so to speak.
Now, look, this is all coming off the heels of, a bad roster and, some of your draft picks not necessarily turning in stellar rookie seasons.
Right.
Obviously Kyle Pitts did what he did. And considering what he had around him, that was pretty amazing. To be able to even, function the way he did. That gives you a lot of hope. But you guys you got guys like Richie Grant, who a lot of people were trying to drag on Twitter a couple days ago. But I'm here to tell you folks, if y'all are wanting to give up on any rookie after one season, especially a top 3 or 4 round pick, that's not how all this stuff goes. You know what I'm saying? I hate to say it like that. I'm not trying to like down on you. I'm not trying to talk bad, but I still have no doubt that Richie Grant's going to end up being a good safety. We all think everybody should come in right away and perform like a Hall of Famer. And I think a lot of times we try to fit, rookies with gold jackets and ring sizes before they've ever taken a snap, But, you do look at guys like Jalen Mayfield, who was a turnstile all season long, that doesn't build you with confidence is what I'm getting at. So they can make some moves, which we still haven't seen yet, as far as extending guys, cutting guys, doing all this stuff. We haven't seen what Fontenot is going to do. Like, who's the capologist guy? Is that Owens?
Chris Owens.
Okay.
Yeah, Chris Owens.
Owens has had a year now.
Yeah.
And that's kind of like what I put on the thumbnail. The year of evaluation is over. Okay? You now have been in the building for a complete year. You have looked at, you have stared at every contract 6 ways to Sunday. You have looked at every personnel that you have brought in. You have taken something I want you to speak on here in a second, but you have taken every scouting report that you had going in, from the draft, and you have burnt everything that you previously had.
Yeah.
So I want you to expound on what I'm talking about there, because it's something you brought to my attention.
So I was thinking about this before we got on the road to Mobile. And I was reading a book about scouting and whatnot. And one of the things they said was it takes at least about a year to really put a big board together. That's going to campuses and looking at those players that's possibly going to be on that big board. All that stuff is finalized in mid-January with the team, with the players that have to turn in their paperwork saying that they are declaring officially for the draft. Mm-hmm. And so leading up all the way to that point, it takes some time to put that together. So we were just talking about this, how Terry came in he couldn't just tear everything down. You had to pretty much go with what you have. You might manipulate the board a little bit from what Thomas Dimitroff did, but you couldn't make wholesale changes because it would just confuse and bring doubt within the whole camp if you did that. So he pretty much stuck with it the way that it was, made a few little changes. And I think Kyle Pitts was that change because, Arthur Smith come in, he wants a nice tight end, and they got that. But I don't feel like Terry got to really show himself the way that I believe he can show himself through a draft because he didn't have that time to do it. But now you got a year, you and Kyle Smith, whom you've given a lot of the reins to and a lot of power to help you draft players that is going to make the Falcons successful. Now I believe that this is the year we get to see Terry Fontenot truly be able to show us what he is made of or possibly not made of after this draft. Going into April. So I'm looking forward to it. I mean, they just made another move, a move that was swirling around last year with Steve Sabo, the former now, professional, the pro personnel director of pro personnel is now finally out. There was rumblings of that last year that was going to happen, but it didn't happen at that moment. But now it's taking place, ironically, right after the Senior Bowl, and right before the free agency period starts up in March. So that was very interesting that he still, now finally made that move. So that tells me that he's fully getting ingrained at becoming a man at looking at the pros like he was doing over there in New Orleans and taking care of that area of business. And I'm sure he'll hire, I'm believing, an assistant up under him to help in that area as well.
Yeah, I would imagine so. And I think you're right. They Fontenot for sure was hired kind of late in the cycle, because it was about this time when we hired Arthur Smith.
Right.
And at the time, the Saints were still in the playoffs. So you couldn't hire Fontenot. We had pretty much decided that that's who we were going to hire, but he couldn't come in and he had to hit the ground running. So he came in, mid to late February. And you're talking about having to hit free agency right off the rip.
Yep.
And so you had to go with a lot of that information that was built up. Like I said now, like we were talking about before, that's done with now. Now this should be, your stuff, really your stuff going forward.
Right.
Your decisions, truly your decisions in free agency, truly your decisions on what you do with this cap numbers. They took what I would consider to be the easy ways last year, by restructuring just enough to get them under, cap. Because we talked about it last year. There was things that you could have done to open up a lot more money than what you did. You could have, instead of restructuring, you could have extended Ryan. You could have extended Grady. You could have extended Calvin. There were things that you could have done to open up some more cap to give you some more wiggle room to make some different moves. But if you didn't have the information that you felt like you needed, that could have been a reason why they didn't do what they did.
Right.
Or they did what they didn't. You know what I'm saying? Why they played it kind of conservative. Same thing with, we may not have a true sense of what he wants to do in the draft as far as moving up and down and moving around inside the draft, because he could have been all right, I want to fill this process out to begin with. So
exactly,
I think we're going to get a much better picture of what Terry Fontenot is as a GM this offseason than we did last offseason. Which I'm here for. I'm excited about. I mean, me and you got the opportunity last week to go down to Mobile, and I really hope that most of y'all enjoyed, some of the stuff that's been coming out since we went out to, down to Mobile. But it was definitely an eye-opening process for us in a sense of getting to move in a different type of circles than we have moved in before. We joked. We were a barrier away from Scott Pioli, and he waved at us and we waved back. But he was a busy man doing CBS stuff. But we passed by Ed Ogeron, and we refrained ourselves from not tackling and hog-tying Orlando Ledbetter. But no, I'm just kidding. That's a joke. That is clearly a joke. But we did see Orlando Ledbetter, and getting a chance to see these people that we've seen on TV or interacted with on a fan level, to see them in a almost peer level was definitely an experience. And then getting to see these players up close, confirming some things that we had previously thought. Like, we talk about possibly trading Grady Jarrett because he may not necessarily be a scheme fit. Well, there's some guys down there that were a scheme fit.
Yeah.
Like, if you're wanting to get a massive, nose tackle, zero tech, pocket collapsing defensive tackle, well, look no further than Travis Jones if you don't want to spend the first round on Jordan Davis.
Yeah.
Because he spent all week collapsing that pocket.
Yeah.
And then collapsed it in the game.
Yep.
So to see that process was a very interesting one and a very eye-opening one. Like I said, we were able to confirm some stuff that we had thought. Because, my early reviews on Jermaine Johnson were pretty high to myself. And then seeing this consensus before we went down to Mobile was that he was a second rounder. Well, he ain't a second rounder no more. Like, he's arguably now a top 10 pick.
Yeah.
Like, he could have possibly, traded places with George Karlaftis from Purdue. So, having those kind of things confirmed was really an awesome experience, and we definitely want to thank y'all for giving us that opportunity.
Yeah. I mean, the day we got there, that Wednesday, when we got there in the rain, I mean, we were literally right there watching Kareem Winfrey strip a fumble out of the ball carrier's hand and recover it.
Yep.
And that right there, boy, I tell you, like, Kareem has really made a name for himself down there. If you didn't know who he was out of Oklahoma, you definitely should know who he is by now, because I'm sure many of you have heard the news about him climbing up boards faster than a speeding bullet.
Oh yeah.
He is climbing, man, and rightfully so. I mean, you got guys now. I haven't gotten into the edge like you have with that, but I tell you what, Boy Maffa sure made sure, 34 sure made sure that we knew who he was. Out of Minnesota on that field on Saturday. He was just living back there all day long.
Yeah, Boy Maffa was an impressive practice participant, and then it wasn't just practice, like it carried over into the game for him, and that's part of what you wanted to see. To me and to you as well, something we spoke about on our Senior Bowl showcase that we put out. This was before the game. None of the QBs really like separated themselves. I know that they tried to start stoking the engine of the Malik Willis hype train, and I think that was, man, I'm gonna sound so conspiratorial here. I think for TV ratings purposes, they need a QB.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
People like a QB, right? That's what everybody thinks about. Like, we wrongfully put too much praise and too much hate on a QB. The QB is the face of the franchise.
Yeah.
And this year, these QBs are not first round worthy. Like, I'm sorry. We saw, outside of Matt Corral, we saw with our own eyes all of the draft, like top draftable QBs were in Mobile. And I don't think, if this tells you anything, I don't think that's happened. I can't remember a time that's happened since I've been covering or paying attention to the football, or paying attention to the draft in a sense.
Yeah.
So, like, that should tell you what this this draft cycle as far as QBs go, because they were
Yeah.
all there,
Yeah.
and none of them looked that great. Me
Yeah.
personally, I thought like Desmond Ridder probably looked the best just because he was the most consistent.
And the crazy part about that, though, during practice week, he was not there. I mean, he was not as good during practice week that you want him to be.
Right.
They tried so hard, and I know people don't want to hear this. They tried so hard to give our traditional quarterback, Carson Strong, the shine. He had the window of opportunity. The door was open until he shut that door when he threw a light touch, deep pass to his former teammate, Romeo Doubs. If he throws that and connects, I think he takes clear front runner as the number one, but he threw that away. What he did, though, is help Alontae Taylor out of Tennessee, the cornerback, who didn't look as good during practice week and was getting beat like I see him getting beat on film. Now, don't get me wrong. He's one of probably the most physical, aggressive corner in this draft that I've seen out of the 20 that I've seen. But that's about all he shows. He's susceptible of getting beat deep. But in this instance, he looked quite good getting that interception off of Carson Strong, and that basically shut the door on Carson Strong's any chance of him running away with that number one QB spot. And that just is really kind of sad to say, JR, because I mean, you look at these QBs.
Man, like
I think Matt Carroll the only one won.
I'll put you like this. You know, my QB assessment is Desmond Ridder looks to me to be the most like has what I consider to be like the best chance at having a decent career. I don't know if that's backup or starter. I'm just saying a decent career. I think Malik Willis, if he can speed up his processing, he's got the most tools. Like he's got the big arm. You know, he can make any throw on the field.
Right.
You know, he's got the what you want out of a modern quarterback with the the mobility. He's got that in spades. But even in practice, when nobody was coming at him, he was missing guys who came wide open.
Yeah.
And he did it again in the Senior Bowl.
Yep.
You know, he missed a couple wide open reads.
Yeah.
And, you know, in the Senior Bowl, he just took off running too soon. Now, those are coachable things. Those are things that he can work on. But I think Malik Willis has got the highest ceiling. I think you're almost safest with Desmond Ridder. And if you're going to plan on doing a full-on dink and dunk offense, then go Kenny Pickett. Because if Kenny Pickett had any kind of arm on him, it wouldn't have taken him 2 plays to get a touchdown. He'd have got it in 1.
Yeah.
Because if he'd hit our boy Christian Watson in stride, you know, if he'd had a little bit better of an arm and hit him in stride, Watson would have walked in for a touchdown.
I'll tell you what, speaking of Christian Watson, the North Dakota product, boy, he definitely made a case for himself. Now, initially coming in, a lot of people had him as a 6th round grade. This guy has definitely exceeded that.
Oh, yeah.
He's 2nd round to a 3rd round guy now.
He's early 3rd, late 2nd, and depending on like what he runs and stuff like that, he might even push himself into the late 1st, depending on how you really see these. Like, cause, you know, with Jameson Williams and Mechie both being hurt, you know, that like that could help him.
Yeah.
Well, man, we have went 30 minutes and just rambling without getting into this chat.
Sorry about that.
Yeah, we need to get into chat for a minute. Normally we try to cut it off at 20. We thank y'all for being patient. That's the thing about doing these live streams every other week. You know, you have in the off season, you need to do it every other week, really, because there isn't just a ton going on. But this past week, obviously, been a little busy with the Senior Bowl and everything else. So let's jump into chat. Jaden Scheffler and Nick all say hello. What's going on, guys? Same thing with Archangel. Yeah, Archangel. He says let's rise up and keep it sound. That's what we're trying to do. To Big says what's up? What's going on, buddy? Same thing with Mr. Motivator. What's up, brother? Let's see. Yep, we talked about Grady Jarrett. Let's see. Woom Carter says what's going on. Family says glad to be here. A long 2 weeks. Let's win. Yeah, I know, right? It is long, but like I said, if we, we feel like if we went every week, it would kind of get boring after a while, at least right now anyway. Let's see here. They call me Yeezy. Says, what's up? What's going on, brother? Mr. CDX for life says, rise up pound for pound from New Mexico. Man, what's up, CDX?
Man,
Out there in New
nice to
Mexico.
have you.
What's up?
Glad to have you.
Regina Stronger says, Regina Stoger says, I believe he handled a situation very well. Not a media circus. I wish him well. I think he's talking about Calvin. Yeah, in that case, like, you know, he didn't go crazy. So in that aspect, like, ain't dragging nobody. So I saw, you know, wish him the best wherever he ends up. I just don't think it'll be in the red and black again. Our buddy Fred Butt says the Falcons are gonna upgrade big this time in the draft. I mean, you really ain't got much of a choice but to upgrade. You really got nowhere to go but up in a sense.
Yeah.
Our buddy Chris James says we are in a rebuild, so let's get those draft picks stacked up. That's part that'll be interesting. Like, do they trade down and try to stack some picks? I think if they can really get a QB craze going, you might actually be able to do that. So it'll be interesting to see how that works out.
Good luck with that.
Yeah. Charleston Nash has got my Kyle Pitts jersey on. Excited to see who's the next first rounder rise up. Yep.
Talking about
Yep,
rise up.
Ryan says, leave it to blank to hire guys who won't take advantage of a bad NFC South. You know, it's weird how just like it depends on how you want to. Who are you laying that blame on, right? There's a part of me that wants to lay it on the regime past, you know, because you hire these other guys to come in and try to pick up the pieces. So, you know, it's an interesting thing, but I don't think it's I'm not judging them all for 1 year with a bad roster. I'm just not. Let's see. Archangel says I would trade Jarrett and bring in some more good defense. That's possible. Woo says hopefully in 2022 season we beat the teams that we should beat and we have to hit on this draft. I believe the coaching staff, this culture change is going to start now. That's possible. Like, yes, we have to hit on this draft, but you have to start showing signs that last year we beat the teams that we should have beat, but teams that you could definitely tell there were teams that we weren't even close to being on par with. You see what I'm saying? Like that's the gap we got to start closing, and it's got to start this year. Ryan says Jarrett doesn't fit this scheme anyways. Pease wants big bodies up front. Like he compared him to Darrell Casey, and then turned in the worst year he's ever had. So I don't know if it's just simply because there was nobody else that the offensive line had to focus on. Like nobody else was giving him any help. So I don't know. There's a lot of circumstances. Let's see. Archangel says, I know Jarrett is the heart. He is a beast. I agree, but I don't. But I also realize have just tough decisions to make, and we need to free up some more cap. And Jarrett gonna want to get paid. That's it. Like Jarrett knows that his time is running out as well. Like he's a 29-year-old defensive tackle, 27, 28 or 29. He's creeping up on that 30 age, which can be a killer for some of these guys. So he knows he's probably got about one more contract in him, really. Keith Simmons says Falcons have a conundrum. Grady wants to be paid, and they don't have the cap to pay him and Foye. Yeah, there's guys that you might actually want to keep that are coming up in free agency that you're going to have to make that decision on. And one of those guys is Foye Oluokun, who seemed to really thrive with Dean Pease. So I would imagine that Pease is going to be pounding the table to keep him.
Right. And I think they will. I believe they will be able to keep him.
I think so. I think they're going to come up with more money than we're thinking.
Yeah.
To be completely honest.
Yeah.
Let's see. Mr. CDX says no real money for 54. More reason to keep Grady. You know, those are we'll see if he prices himself out of here. Bash Riprock says, I hate when we hire people not on the same page, meaning you hire a coach who don't want to rebuild and a general manager who does. Both will be gone next year. I don't know about next year. Maybe, I think they get at least 3 years. But you're right.
Yeah.
If they need to get on the same page, like there's no other way to say that. Like if Arthur feels like a win now, and Terry's not giving him the groceries to win now, like that's going to end up causing issues.
Yeah.
Let's see. Where are we at? Sean Elliott says, I hope the Falcons don't get too crazy in the Senior Bowl hype because they're facing other rookies, but once they get into the NFL, they will be facing the best, so don't get crazy. I guarantee you they're going to draft 3 or 4 guys out of the Senior Bowl. They always do, like teams do, because that's the first time they really get their hands on these guys. And so that just tends, yes, you're not automatically going to think that the player is going to come in and do what they did there. Richie Grant was a standout last year at the Senior Bowl.
He sure was.
And so the adjustment is real. But what you're looking for at the Senior Bowl is, do these guys respond to adverse conditions, a la 40-mile-an-hour winds and rain coming in sideways?
Yeah.
How do they handle coaching from somebody that ain't never coached them before? How do they process information? Like, you're giving them a bunch of new stuff right off the rip. Like, how do they process that? How much do they retain? These are the things they do learn, and that's why the Senior Bowl is important, and that's why a lot of these guys who attend the Senior Bowl get drafted. Is because this is the first time the NFL is really getting their hands on them. So anyway, I don't know if I would consider it hype, but you just have to understand the realistic expectations. Chris James says, that report that Thibodeau is selfish, uninterested player is absolute trash. Yeah, I agree. You always get that at some point in time in the offseason. It seems like they pick a player at random to say, all right, this is the guy we're going to poop on. And
I'll tell you, before you finish that, you know what's funny about that, right?
What's up?
Because they're starting much earlier than usual. Usually they'll wait till the combine before all that type
it is
of
kicking
comes
up
out,
real
right?
early, ain't it?
All of a sudden, Jermaine Johnson goes down here and just blows it up, right? And this is telling me that they need a guy to knock out of there because they're probably going to keep George Karlaftis in there, right?
Oh, you think Karlaftis is going to stick?
Yeah, I think they want to keep George in there, so they need one guy, and they're using, unfortunately, this guy to knock out of there.
Look,
and move Johnson up.
I'll tell you this, like, a lot of times we focus so much on the football aspect of it, and a lot of times we forget that there is a business aspect. There is a TV aspect. So when they can, if they have an opportunity to create drama in the community, they're gonna.
Yeah.
Because just like in other aspects, they put cheerleaders on the sidelines because sex sells. Drama sells too.
Yep.
Y'all all watch it. I don't watch it, but y'all all watch the evening news every night because you want to see the train wreck. You want to see the drama. So drama is interesting. Drama is something that we all like to sink our teeth into. You're right. And they seem like they pick a player every year. And this year happened to be Thibodeau. Well, I'll tell you this. If Thibodeau falls to the Falcons at 8, I'll bet on that being a false report.
Yeah, you better cut that table in half.
So,
I ain't talking about
talking straight through it. Talking straight through it.
Hey, let him fall to 8.
That's it. Yeah.
He won't go past that.
That's it. I bet you we can motivate him down here in Atlanta.
Yeah.
All right. Let's keep it moving. Let's see. Nick Bungalow wants Stingley because he wants to create more coverage sacks. That's what we said on our little report.
Yeah.
And if any of y'all caught us on that one bar, the Vikings show that we did a pick for, that was the reason behind the Stingley pick there. Give me a chance to create an elite unit. And I'll jump on it in a heartbeat. Our good buddy from up north, Damsky's in here with us. What's going on, Damsky?
Yes. What's up, man?
He must have heard we was going to be doing a mock draft, and which we're going to get to here in just a minute. Let's see. Jaden Sheffield, he tipped us $2. We thank you very much, Jaden. He says this receiver class is stacked.
Yes.
Yes, it's a good receiver class.
Yes.
It is a good
Yes,
receiver
it is.
class. It has a lot of different variety in what you're looking for too. Big body guys. That one picture you took with Dobbs, Pierce.
Alec Pierce and
Dobbs,
Christian
Pierce,
Watson.
and then
Yeah.
the Falcoholic Kevin's son, Calvin Austin.
Yeah.
He was the short one in the group, but
Yeah.
Let's see. How do you Falcon Mind says, evening boys, enjoying the show. Hey man, glad you're
What's
here
up,
with
man?
us tonight. Raheem says, give us your top 3 cornerbacks and wide receivers you guys would take and what round they would realistically go. All right. Top 3 cornerbacks. Saint Stingley, Sauce Gardner, and Andrew Booth Jr. And those all 3 could go in the first round.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, wide receivers. Treylon Burks, Jameson Williams, and I'm gonna go Christian Watson.
Oh,
Like he's like become a apple of my eye kind of thing. And I would say the first 2, first round, and then Watson, second to third round. I know some other people are gonna be like, oh, what about Olave and Wilson, and there's a bunch of other, but for me, give me the 6'5", 215 speedster, and I'll take it. What about you? What you got? Cornerbacks, wide receivers.
All right. Cornerback, Darius Stingley, Sauce Gardner, Roddy McQuarrie.
Oh, McQuarrie.
Those 3 that I'm going with.
I got you.
All of them are first-round talent. My wide receivers are also first-round talent because this is how I have it ranked. Jameson Williams, despite being hurt, I think he will be ready.
Right.
Probably 2 games into the season, he should be ready to go. Treylon Burks and Garrett Wilson. Now, Garrett Wilson, I actually have as my number 2 guy. Treylon Burks is my 3rd guy. Now, I know some people are not going to agree with that, but I love what Garrett Wilson brings to the table. And I'm not saying that Treylon Burks doesn't bring that to the table because they all do. But there's a few more things that I like about Garrett, his speed, and he's a lot more physical than what people perceive him to be, despite him not being as big like Treylon Burks is. Right. So I do like Garrett Wilson over Treylon Burks.
Okay. Cool. Well, there you go. There's the answer to that question. And we got so much time to get into even more draft talk. Like this, y'all gonna get sick of it. Well, hopefully y'all don't. Let's see. Reggie C2K says, pound for pound, what up? What's going on? Same thing with Padre. He says, what's good, JR and Toby, man? Everything's good. God is good. It's all good. Says, the Saints offseason is getting wilder and wilder every day. Yes, sir, it is, and I'm here for it in a sense. Like, you got that stuff going down with Alvin Kamara. Like, holy Pete, So, yeah, it's getting nuts over there.
Man.
Jarvis Murray, Toby, do you think that trading the 8th pick would be better than taking a player and building through the draft? So I'm guessing he's asking, would you take the 8th pick or take extra picks?
Whew, boy, that's
well, it depends on what you're getting, right?
Yeah, I have to stay at 8.
Yeah.
Because if I have an opportunity, and if you didn't know, you'll know now. Sauce Gardner, I moved him up 3 weeks ago as a top 10 player after I watched him because he is a top 10 player, and nobody would be able to convince me otherwise. This guy, if he's not number 1 right now, he might be vying for that number 1 spot after that combine, putting a lot of pressure on Darius Stingley. But anyway, you have a chance to get either Darius Stingley if he falls or a Sauce Gardner who could be sitting there at you at 8. I think you have to stay.
Yeah, I think so too. We are so devoid of talent that you need a blue chip prospect. Like you need, like I almost want a guaranteed guy over more swings at the plate at this junction.
Yeah.
Let's see. Dansky says, Grady Jarrett, the prototypical 4-eyed defensive end or 5-tech in our underneath front. See, he's getting all get technical on us. Says, don't downplay Grady's ability just because he's likely going to get moved. I ain't downplaying his ability. Like, I hope I didn't come across that way. Because I still think, even if he stays here, Grady Jarrett is far more effective than a lot of other players out there. I'm just noting that he had his worst statistical year. There's many variables for that reason. It could be, trying to get, get your foot underneath you in a new scheme. It could be the talent around you. It could be as simple as I said, is that he was the only one causing havoc. So it's easy to take away one player.
Yeah.
Now I'll say this, on our 4-man line, which you could, which I'm assuming you're calling with the underfronts, you got 3 men with their hand in the dirt and 1 man standing up. That creates a 4-man front. Like, you putting him at a 4-eye or a 3-tech there, he's still extremely effective. So for people saying like, he doesn't, doesn't necessarily fit the scheme, I think you can, like, I'm trying not to like ramble and repeat myself. If the talent is better around him, he will play better. Does that make sense? Like, without sounding too.
It takes more attention off of him.
Exactly.
And it puts it on somebody else.
You take what we hoped Marlon Davidson was going to be, and you put in what we think Perry and Winfrey can be. Now you put Grady on one side, Anthony Rush in the middle, Perry and Winfrey on the other side with, whatever pass rusher we get standing up, whether it's Majay Sanders or somebody in free agency. I think you could start wrecking some havoc. But you got to have somebody who's bringing that other pressure. And hopefully that other guy may be Thibodeau. Like, you put Thibodeau and Grady Jarrett on the same line, please give me that. Give me that. So, yeah, I hope people don't think that we think that he's not worth keeping, because I believe he is worth keeping.
Now, I'm going to say this again.
Yep.
I don't care. I don't care how good Grady Jarrett is. I love Grady Jarrett. Do not get me wrong. But, guys, we are in a rebuild. Whether the Atlanta Falcons, Terry Fontenot, and Arthur Smith want to admit it or not, and if you got some guys that you can trade to get some cap space, you need to do it. Yeah. You got a free agent class that's probably one of the better ones that I've seen. Should a lot of those guys make the free agency, and I believe they will, than I've seen in a long time. You need to get some cap money to be able to get some of these players in here. You got to stop. You can't keep getting 1-year deals. Okay,
we gotta. Yeah, we can't do that. Like, seriously,
right.
like we can't do the Deron Harmons and the Harrises and the Fabian Moreau, even though I wouldn't mind him coming back. But to me, like, to make those strides that you want to make, it's like you start with re-signing Foye. You start with, extending Grady Jarrett so that you can free up cap space. And
that's if he wants to be.
Right. Obviously, all there. Yeah. Like, if he wants to be here, I want him here. Okay? Let's just put it that way. If he don't want to be here, I don't want him here. I don't want disgruntled players, like, at all. I want players who believe in what we're doing and are trying to do it, So, with that being said, extending Grady, signing Foye, like, those are moves that are a step in the right direction. But it can't be just, I'm going to pair him with, Marlon Davidson and Anthony Rush. Like, Anthony Rush is fine, long as you got somebody else bringing some heat. That's kind of what I was at. Now, talk about bringing some heat. I think it should be about time that we go ahead and do this mock draft.
Let's get it.
And see what kind of heat we can bring to the. So I hope y'all are ready in the chat here. I'm going to see here. Let's see. Bam. Okay. Now, this week we're using the Draft Network. We were able to speak to some of the guys at the Draft Network, and they gave us permission to use their mock draft machine. I feel is one of the better ones out there, or at least they updated, quite frankly, or quickly. Shoot, before the Senior Bowl was even over, they had already moved Jermaine Johnson up. So, anyway, all right. So we're gonna go with the Draft Network's predicted big board. We're gonna do 7 rounds, and let's get this started. Let's see. All right. All right.
Ooh, the 7th-round mock. Come
Let's
on.
do it.
Come
All
on, y'all. In
Our pick is up. They say that we need an edge, an interior defensive line, safety, corner, wide receiver, running back, QB, interior O-line, cornerback, offensive tackle, wide receiver. Basically, we need a team, okay? We need a whole team here.
Right.
All right, so on the board, we have Jordan Davis. We have Jermaine Johnson.
Woo.
We have David Ajobo. And we have Kenyon Green
Wow.
and Jamison Williams. That's the top 5 guys. Out of those 5, now like Linderbaum's there, Charlie Cross is there, our mean guy, Trevor Penning's there, and Ahmad Gardner is there. So, do we go with, what are y'all thinking? Chat, y'all got any opinions on this? Because I'm thinking myself, I'm thinking Jermaine Johnson.
That's where I'm going. But hey, what y'all want?
I got one saying, Ryan saying Jermaine. Chris Jameson is saying Sauce. He wants Sauce Gardner. We'll give it a second, see if anybody else chimes in. While we're waiting, trying to see if there's anybody else. All right, we got Johnson or Davis, and then I got a Jobo. All right, let's go with Johnson since he's in the middle of Davis and a Jobo. So we're going to draft Jermaine Johnson. Bam. Jermaine Johnson with the first round. All right. Moving on up. That's not up. We're moving down now.
Yeah.
Moving on through the draft. Y'all gonna be like, quit singing, JR. Matty Ghost just tipped us $5. He says Malik Willis looked like Tyrod Taylor part due in the Senior Bowl, as I suspected. He's just a little faster, can't throw wide receivers open. He didn't help himself in that aspect, I'll say that. But, like, if you feel like you can fix that processing, he's got a lot of tools. And somebody's going to take a chance on him. All right. Second round pick. We are up. We got David Bell, wide receiver out of Purdue.
Ooh.
Perion Winfrey.
Oh.
Kenneth Walker III.
Goodness.
Kyler Gordon, cornerback out of Washington. Tyreek Woolen, cornerback out of UTSA. Lewis Sheen out of Georgia. And Isaiah Spiller, running back. All right. Me personally, like, my eyes went right to Winfrey.
I'm locked in.
You locked in with Winfrey? It looks like the chat's locked in with Winfrey as well.
It's no way. It's no way.
Man, you give me a draft. We come away with Jermaine Johnson and Perion Winfrey. Yes.
Man, let me tell you something. I might have to take off the rest of the night if that happens, JR.
Yes, sir.
I'm telling you right now. I don't know if I'm able to say
we done ran up to the podium. Handed it in. We got Perion Winfrey. All right, coming up to our second pick. Second round pick. Jameer Saylor out of Georgia, the guard.
Yeah.
Your boy Carson Strong is still there. Isaiah Likely. Trey McBride. Both of those are tight ends. Kareem Elam, the corner out of Florida, cornerback out of Florida. John Mechie, wide receiver.
Oh, man.
Adrian Mathis, which I think since you took Perion Winfrey, I don't think you should take Mathis. Now, here's the one. Christian Watson. Now, do you take a chance that Christian Watson is going to be there at the top of the third?
If we don't draft him now, he won't be there at the third. I don't see it.
You don't think?
But what chat saying?
I'm trying to see what chat's going. Archangel's saying running back. Watson's coming up a lot. Like Chris Jameson's going like Chris Jameson's really pounding the table for Watson. Everybody's saying RB, man, guys. I'm gonna tell you this class is stacked with some RBs. We can get one in the third round. So all right, you know what? I'm gonna go with Watson. I see a lot of Watson. So I think I did a good job of selling people on Watson. And I'm gonna add to that. I got a video coming out. Y'all just keep your eyes peeled. It's gonna help with that Watson hype. All right, third round, top of the third, pick 74th pick. We got Carson Strong's still there. So is George Pickens. So is the edge Drake Jackson out of USC.
Oh.
So is Jalen Whittemere, tight end out of Texas A&M. And Jeremy Ruckert, tight end out of Ohio. Now, I got to take a peek and see what running backs are available at this point. All right. Okay. My sleeper guy is still there. So I ain't gonna talk about it just yet. All right, I see a lot of people going Pickens, but I believe that's because we got a Jordan. But look now, we need to remake this wide receiver room.
Yeah.
So, like Pickens in the third might not be a bad deal. I'll give some other people. We got Nico Benito, edge out of Oklahoma.
Hey.
Now, Chris Jameson saying Martin Emerson, cornerback out of Mississippi State. You know anything about him? His name hasn't come up yet.
Don't do it.
Don't do it. Okay. I know. Hey, man. I'm with you.
And now that me personally.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. I'm getting more Pickens than I'm getting anything else. So that's what we're going with. We're going to go with Pickens. All right. George Pickens. We have remade the wide receiver room. Somebody watched your firepower video and said, yep, we got to do it. Is he going to be there? Oh, my guy's gone. I took a gamble. Breece Hall's gone. I was so hoping Breece Hall was going to be there. Like we came up with that production number. You know, we took that formula that you had for the defensive line and we adapted it, which we're going to get into later. And that when I plugged in those production numbers for Breece Hall, holy crap. All right, back to what we're doing. All right, fourth pick, we got Greg Dolcich, tight end out of UCLA. Now, y'all can't go with this guy just because he's from the University of Georgia. We got Channing Tyndale. We got Jake Ferguson, who showed pretty good at Senior Bowl. Troy Anderson, who did okay. Cam Taylor-Britt out of Nebraska. And Jesse Lucada, or Lucada, the Penn State linebacker guy. And we got Ed Ingram.
Oh!
Ed Ingram? I just saw that name. I'm thinking Ed Ingram.
You got to do it. You got the Ed Ingram.
Yeah, I think you got Ed Ingram.
I don't think he's gonna be there, but in real life, but yeah.
Damsky's pounding the table for his Ohio State guy, Tyreek Smith. Now my other guy's there too, Hassan Haskins. All right, nope. I got to do it, man. We can't roll in with another, with Jalen Mayfield again.
Oh man, that Jalen, no. Oh my.
Or Alec Lindstrom's there too.
Oh man.
We could have a brother duo at center, and guard.
But we much prefer to have a veteran center.
True. That's what I'm really hoping for. All right, one last deal. We're gonna go Ed Ingram, or we're gonna go Hassan Haskins.
I'm gonna let them decide this. I ain't saying that. So.
All right. Well, I see more Ingram's name in the chat than I do anything else. So, Ed Ingram, here we come. All right, we got to get a running back in the 5th round. Who's left?
Oh, Damon Pierce is there.
Oh man, Damon Pierce. Yes, Damon Pierce. Damon Pierce is gone.
Oh man,
he just got gone. Okay. Running back. Okay. We got Zaquadrin White, the running back out of South Carolina.
And what round is this?
This is 5th round.
5th round.
We got Pierre Strong Jr., which is a guy who showed out well in the East-West Shrine game.
Yeah.
And he's a guy that I want to dig into a little bit more. Now, we got the hammer from BYU, Tyler Algieri.
Okay.
He's an interesting back. And then we got, Abram Smith, who showed well in the bowl. Now, let's see, that's just running back. Oh, Jerome Ford's there, too.
Oh,
I figured out why Jerome Ford wasn't at the Senior Bowl, the game itself. He was having a baby. So that's a good
okay.
reason not to be there.
Congratulations to him.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is.
All right, let's see. Position-wise, I don't know. Damian Pierce is still there from Florida.
Uh-oh.
So Damian
Yeah,
Pierce?
I'm gonna let them decide. I'm not gonna. Yeah, I'm.
I don't know. Pierce?
What the chat saying?
Let's see what the chat's saying. Running back, Archangel says, running back 3rd round. We messed up last year on a running back D and can't drop the ball. This year, grab a running back at least. Yeah. All right. I'm thinking I really like Jerome Ford.
Okay.
Mainly because I can say he's built for tough. That's not really the reason why. I actually really like Jerome Ford. I think he does, he's a well-rounded back. Kenny Brookers? I don't think Brookers is there or out of Oklahoma. If he was, that would be real nice. Charleston Nash says, what kind of running back is Ford? Let's see what the Draft Network says, because I'll tell you what I say. So he's a 4-star recruit. He's the one that transferred from Alabama. Let's see. Vision. Ford does well to find daylight, navigate tight spaces. He's a decisive runner that makes good decisions with the ball in his hands. These are all things that I noticed. Well, while he isn't the most creative runner, he wisely plays within himself and is consistent. Contact balance, that is something, like that's where I got the joke, or started in my own head, the joke, built for tough. Because I noticed that, like, you can hit Ford and he'll keep going. So, his contact balance is real good. Sturdy runner. Durable. Explosive. Yeah, no, he doesn't have, like, elite breakaway speed. But he's a guy that's going to give you chunk yardage. So I'm going to go with Ford.
Yeah.
So, and bam, Ford. Now, we're getting into the 6th round where it really don't matter. I say it don't matter. When was the last time somebody outside of Tom Brady, because if y'all come at me with Tom Brady, I'm going to throw something. Outside of Tom Brady, when was the last time?
Antonio Brown.
That may have been the last time, right? Right. Okay, now we're getting into names that I'm not 100% familiar with. Other than, well, you got Cade Mays.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see, Isaiah Tyler Stout, the cornerback out of USC, or Stewart. Tyler Algieri's still there. Same thing with Tyler Goodson, both running backs. Chris Paul out of Tulsa. We saw him in the Senior Bowl a little bit.
Yeah, that's a no.
My man said that's a no. He said, I'll take a pass. Let's see, any other names? Well, I think we can get him in our next pick, but your boy Marquise Bell is still there. Micah McFadden is still there.
Oh my. Go ahead. I ain't gonna say nothing.
All right, so Dansky wants us to remake the whole room and get Tyler Algieri.
Get a remake?
Which I can't blame him. I mean, Algieri is a stout runner. Yeah. Like, he is a hammer. And I like, so yeah, all right, heck with it. We're
going to have to double dip somewhere.
Yeah, we might as well. We double dipped on wide receiver and running back. Let's make everybody mad.
Hey, we got to revamp it.
I got to, man. You got to. You cannot go into this next year like this. All right, last pick. Let's see who's still there. Marquise Bell is still there. Looks like McFadden got gone.
Yeah, of course.
Nick Grant out of Virginia, safety, is still there. Let's see. Amari Carter. Elias Brooks. Anybody else? I got Bell. I think Marquise Bell is going to be, the guy. Let's go with
He's somebody you would enjoy to develop.
Yeah, I think he'll be a good development.
Out of HBCU school.
Right. So let's draft him. Bam. All right. We'll finish up and we'll take a look at all of our picks, because I think that was the last one. So we'll run through the. Now, if there's one thing I could say, I really wish Draft Network would speed up their automatic picks. It's just a computer program. Come on. You can go a little faster. All right. That is it. Our user picks. At number 8, we took Jermaine Johnson. At pick number 43, we took Perion Winfrey. 58, we took Christian Watson. People can probably consider that to be maybe our reach, but I felt good about it. 74, we took George Pickens. So in this draft, we definitely remade that wide receiver room.
And we got taller there too.
That's right. That's right. We ain't got these little 5'11" guys. All right, we bolster that old line with Ed Ingram out of LSU. We double dipped on running back with Jerome Ford and Tyler Algieri. Algieri. I'm going to get that right. Algieri. And then added to the defense with Marcus Bell out of the HBU or HBCU. Is that right?
Yeah.
Yep. So, bam. Felt pretty good about that draft. Oh, we already got Shane Elliott saying that Jermaine Johnson is a reach at 8. That's all right. That's okay. Right now, the consensus isn't there. We're still real early in the draft process. I'll say this. Out of the edge guys I've watched, and I'll tell you, because of where we were picking, I didn't necessarily watch Hutchinson or Thibodeau because I just assumed that they were going to be gone before we got there. So out of the guys that I have watched, Jermaine Johnson is high. He is much higher than I was expecting. So initially, but that was a good mock. I feel pretty good about that one. What do you think?
Yeah. I think the mocks are only gonna get better. Somebody's gonna mess around and hit on all of Atlanta's picks.
Oh yeah. Hey, we might mess around and hit on all of them.
That'll be great.
And for more of our personal mocks, you can go check out Pound for Pound ATL or P for P ATL.com. Toby just posted up a real good one last night. I'm working on one myself that I'm going to try to get out by next week. But I think, if y'all want any of our opinions on that stuff, we're posting profiles like crazy, evaluations like crazy on the website. You can always hit us up on Twitter if you got a question or if you want our opinion on something. But yeah, I think that's going to do it for us this evening.
Yeah, man.
So, again, appreciate y'all. If it wasn't for y'all, we wouldn't have decided to go to Mobile. And if it wasn't for y'all, we wouldn't have got the passes to go to Mobile.
Yeah.
So we had to have that presence to get that. So we appreciate y'all for that opportunity. And we hope that that opportunity helps us bring y'all better coverage of the draft as we go through this process. Y'all can follow me on Twitter. I'm at Grim1128, GRIMM1128. Toby?
Toby D1991.
And that's going to do it for us. Like I said, keep an eye on the channel. I got a really, what I hope is a good video coming up for you. Hope to have it out by Friday or Saturday. And we won't be live next week. We'll be live the week after that. But, catch the channel because we're always going to be putting out stuff. Same thing with the website. And as always, Falcons fans, let's just win, man.
Let's win.